Indonesia is a vast archipelago of 17,000 islands that straddles the equator and is deeply layered with character, colour and chaos. Lush, steamy jungles populated with orangutans, sun bears and monkeys are interspersed with fluorescent rice paddies, crowded cities and towering volcanoes. Dodge hurtling traffic while chatting to your Becak driver. Trek through dense rainforests as monkeys gossip above. Sip locally grown coffee while a choir of mosques announce evening prayer. Indonesia's national motto, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which means many yet one, expresses the diversity of Indonesia's 300 ethnic groups and 237 million people. Indonesia is the world's most populous Islamic country. Muslim traders brought Islam to the archipelago, and today 87% of the population are Muslim, while only 8% are Christians. Tradition is ingrained in the flow of Indonesian life. Many groups of people practice ways of living that have continued for centuries. Nearly half of the population are farmers growing rice, tea, coffee, rubber and other commodities. Indonesia is a country of rich natural resources, yet poverty is a defining feature of contemporary Indonesia. 31 out of every 1,000 children born die before the age of 5. As of 2006, nearly 18% of the population were living below the poverty line of $1 a day, and nearly 50%, over 110 million people, were living on less than $2 per day. The Lutheran churches of Indonesia welcome volunteers in a wide range of areas. Opportunities are predominantly in rural villages where volunteers can teach English, spend time in orphanages, and share life with people who are blind. Consider Indonesia and meet God in the faces and lives of His people there.
Recently we spent 3 months, my wife Maxine and I spent 3 months working in Pematang Siantar in North Sumatra, Indonesia.
I went to Balege. Balege is in the north, actually the southern part of the north of Sumatra, one of the Indonesian islands.
North Sumatra is an unusual part of Indonesia in that about half the people are Christian and about half are Muslim.
I arrived there not really knowing what to expect, just trusting in the Lord really, hoping that somebody would pick me up and they would know who I was, that they were supposed to pick up. But as soon as I got onto the small plane, I realised I stick out like a sore thumb. I was the only white person on the plane, so they wouldn't have a problem.
We went over there to encourage the students to learn English. So we thought we would have 2 or 3 classes. However, we ended up with 3 schools to go to.
I was prepared to do anything. I have got teaching and nursing qualifications, but when I actually got there, I soon realised that teaching English would be the way to go.
We would put on a song and dance act and get them singing and talking and explaining so that they had experience of the sound of English voices.
You might ask, why is there such a need for English? I asked that question for a while until I realised that speaking English means jobs.
Our standard day was waking up at 4:30 with the call to prayer from the nearby mosque. Cold shower, nothing like a cold shower to get you going every day. And 7 o'clock we would get picked up and taken to the school.
And in front of the church, quite often we gathered very early in the morning and I started an exercise class with them. It was good fun.
We went to Indonesian lessons as soon as we knew we were going. We went to Indonesian lessons.
I don't believe our Indonesian achieved anything apart from making the Indonesians think, well, he took the trouble to learn some Indonesian and to laugh at my accent.
The people are very friendly. Once they got to know me on my early morning walks and in one or two of the little shops, perhaps on the inverted commas. They invited me into their homes.
When you go overseas on a volunteer position, one of the hardest things sometimes is to break the shackles of them wanting to look after you and care for you, and to actually just wander down the street and meet people outside.
The lifestyle outside the school seemed to be quite different from what went on inside the school. Inside the school there was this strict routine, but also a nice roof over your head and plenty to eat. Outside, in the surrounding area, people seemed to have a lot of problems simply just to eat healthily.
When you get out into the rural areas where it is subsistence farming almost, the primary schools are very poorly supported. There's very little money available because to go to school you've got to pay school fees and you've got to pay union fees.
In the school, you realise just how little money there was to spare.
It definitely increased my faith because I really went by faith. And everything turned out just so much better than expected. I'll definitely go back, God willing, just to help out, however and wherever.
But it was always interesting with the culture, living with different people, finding out how they worked and what they thought. It was just enjoyable.
Mm.
Kasih setiamu yang ku alami dalam hidupku. Terima kasih Yesus untuk kebaikanmu sepanjang hidupku. Terima kasih Yesusku buat anugerah yang Kau beri, sebab hari ini Tuhan adakan syukur bagimu.
Food is probably the most challenging things at times. We went out to a special service raising money for a manse at a congregation. There was a dog in a plastic bag, in a Hessian bag, and it was put up on the top of the bus to go out with us, and we said, you know, what's going on? They said, oh, we're taking the dog out to the village, to a farm at the village. We went out and we had the whole day at this church and came back that night and there was no dog brought back, so we thought the dog is out, obviously out of the farm and the village. Next day Maxine said to Jamerton, what happened to the dog? It got to the village and Jamerton burst out laughing. He said, you ate it.